Hello students, welcome back to VA NEET Academy. Till now we have seen classes on cell, the basic unit of life, and the basic difference between a prokaryotic and a eukaryotic cells. In today's class we are going to explore about cell organelles. Have you ever wondered how does a cell performs its action of its own without any breaks or any difficulties? Yes, this is what we are going to learn today. Now just imagine a city. A city performs its actions, its activities of its own using different departments like the transport department for transporting, for clearing out the garbages, the waste department is there, where this waste disposable department is there, the communication department, the water supply department, etc., isn't it? So each department has its own specific function. Similarly, cell organelles are specialized structure which has its own specialized function, which is very much necessary for the cell to survive. So grab your notebook, stay focused, and let's explore the fascinating journey of cell organelles. Let's begin. So let's begin our today's class, cell organelle structure and function. Now what are cell organelles? Cell organelles are specialized structure inside the cell, okay. They are a very specialized structure inside the cell that performs the specific function, okay. So they perform the specific function. So we will begin with our first cell organelle, okay. So I guess we will start with nucleus. Nucleus, okay. So what are nucleus? So nucleus is otherwise also called the control center of the cell, okay. So these are the control center of the cell, right. So obviously when you talk about the function of the nucleus, they control the activities, okay. They control the activities of the cell, okay. So they control the activities of the cell, okay. They contain the genetic material, has the genetic material inside them, okay. And all of you know what is this genetic material called? It's called DNA, deoxyribonuclease, okay. So it also performs the cell division, or else you can say it is responsible for cell division and inheritance. Because of cell division, it is responsible for inheritance, okay. Now easy analogy for a nucleus. Now easy analogy is, what is the easy analogy for nucleus? You can call this as a principle of the cell, or else principle of the office. So what is the function of the principle of the office? Yes, what is the function? They control everything. So here our nucleus is the control house of our cell, okay, right. So we will see the next organelle. The next organelle is endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum, in short we call it as ER, endoplasmic reticulum, okay. Now this endoplasmic reticulum, we have two types. One is the rough ER, endoplasmic reticulum, and the smooth ER, that is endoplasmic reticulum, okay. So the rough one is usually seen with ribosomes, and hence it is rough in nature, okay, because the ribosomes are attached to endoplasmic reticulum, its texture becomes rough. Smooth ones are without without ribosomes. Okay, so we have two types of endoplasmic reticulum, rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, now when we talk about the functions of endoplasmic reticulum, it has two basic major functions. One is protein synthesis and the other one is lipid synthesis. So, synthesis of protein and synthesis of lipid is done by our endoplasmic reticulum. Okay. Protein synthesis, always remember, is done by rough endoplasmic reticulum, RER, and lipid synthesis is done by smooth endoplasmic reticulum, SER. Okay. Okay. I hope it's clear now. Now, the easy analogy. What is the easy analogy to remember it? It is the transport network of our cell. Transport network of the cell. Okay? Clear? Okay, so we will see the next organelle, which is the Golgi Apparatus. Golgi Apparatus. Golgi Apparatus. Now, here its major function is packaging. Okay, its major function is packaging. Okay, it also carries out certain modification function. Modification of what? Modification of proteins and lipids. Okay, it performs the modification of proteins and lipids as well. Okay, this is also followed by another important function which is called secretion. Okay, it carries out the secretion function also, and this is why it helps in the formation of, or else it forms, lysosome. Lysosome, we will see now that it has a transport function. Okay, I hope it's clear. I mean, it carries, lysosome is a kind of a storehouse which carries the proteins and lipids from one location to another. Okay, so Golgi apparatus. So, easy analogy, what can we call this as? How do we remember Golgi apparatus? Can anyone guess and tell me? You can always call it as the post office of the cell. Okay, because this is the location where the proteins and lipids come in. It gets packed, it gets modified, and then it gets secreted to various locations of the cell. Similarly, the post office does. Post office receives the letter, it is being sorted out and then distributed to the respective location in your area. So, you can call Golgi apparatus as the post office of a cell. Okay. Now, we will go to the next organelle of our interest. It is your ribosomes. I guess we finished 3, right? Yeah, this is the 4th one, ribosomes. Ribosomes. Okay, ribosomes function, its function is basically protein synthesis. Protein synthesis. Okay. Now, the neat fact about ribosome. So, ribosomes are also called as the protein factories. Okay. Protein factories of the cell. Now, this is usually asked in NEET exams. Protein factories of the cell is ribosomes, and these ribosomes are usually a non-membranous organelle. It does not have any membrane. Remember this, students. Okay, ribosome does not have any membrane. Okay. Now, the next organelle is your lysosomes. We just saw in Golgi Apparatus, isn't it? What are lysosomes? So, here we will see what are they. Lysosome, the basic function is digestion. What does it digest? If I say digestion is its function, what does it digest? The worn out organelles, foreign bodies, etc. Okay, so these help in digesting all this material, and also followed by waste removal. Lysosome is also responsible for waste removal. Okay, so in the Golgi apparatus we saw it forms lysosome. So, during secretion all the waste are being packed in this lysosome, digested and then removed out of the cell. Okay. So, neat fact about lysosome, lysosomes are usually called the suicidal bags of the cell. Okay, lysosomes are called the suicidal bags of the cell. Why is it called suicidal bags? Because the lysosome contains the internal enzymes which digest all the foreign bodies and worn out organelles. So, it actually kills them by digesting. So, it is called suicidal bag. Okay, so, that is about lysosomes, right. We will see the next organelle. After lysosome, let us talk about a major organelle called as mitochondria. Okay, a very important organelle. Now, many of you know that it is also called as the powerhouse of the cell. Now, do you know why is it called the powerhouse of the cell? Because it produces power. And what is the power in our cell? It is the ATP. So, function is ATP production. Adenosine triphosphate production. Adenosine triphosphate is a energy molecule, energy giving chemical. Okay. It is also responsible for cellular respiration. Okay. It is also responsible for cellular respiration. The neat fact about mitochondria, mitochondria is also called as the powerhouse of the cell. Okay. So, when you get this question, which is the powerhouse of the cell, it is mitochondria. Okay. It also has its own DNA. Okay. So, apart from the cellular DNA which is present inside the nucleus, the mitochondria also has its own DNA, and this is why it is also called as semi-autonomous organelle. It is not organ, it is organelle. Okay, semi-autonomous because it has got its own DNA. It has got its own DNA. It is also called as semi-autonomous. That is, partially it can do its own, dictate its own functions. Okay, semi-autonomous organelle. Okay, so this is our mitochondria. So we will move on to the next organelle, which is your vacuoles. So we have seen the 6 organelles, the 7th one, vacuoles. What are vacuoles? What is its function? Function, you can say it is the function of vacuole. The storage, major function is storage. Storage of what? Storage of food materials, storage of water, storage of pigments, okay, storage of waste material. Okay. So, vacuoles are responsible for the storage of food, water, pigments and waste. Okay. It is also responsible for water balance of the cell. It is also responsible for the water balance of the cell. Now, what is the easy analogy easy analogy. To remember vacuole, you can call it as a water tank or else storage room. Okay, you can call it as a water tank or storage room. This will definitely help you remember. You will never forget what are vacuoles. If you remember the analogy, you will definitely get to know what are their functions. Okay. The next organelle, the eighth organelle, plastids. Plastids. Plastids, they are usually present only in plants. Okay. Now there are three types of plastids. There are three types of plastids. First one is types. First is chloroplast. Okay, chloroplast. Then chromoplast. Chromoplast and then leucoplast. Okay, chloroplast, this contains chlorophyll in them, okay, and is responsible for photosynthesis. Chromoplast, any idea what is its function? It gives color to many fruits and flowers. We have beautiful colored fruits and flowers, isn't it? So these colors come from chromoplast, and this chromoplast has pigments of respective colors of the fruits and flowers. Okay, and then the leucoplast. Leucoplast, it basically is the storage organelle for starch, okay, oils and protein. So leucoplast helps in the storage of starch, oils and proteins. Okay, I hope it's clear, students. So the neat fact about the plastids. Chloroplast contains chlorophylls, as you know. So like mitochondria, chloroplast also contains DNA of its own. It also has DNA of its own, okay, as well as ribosomes. So chloroplast has its own DNA and ribosome. Okay, hope it's clear. So next organelle we see is centrosomes. Eight organelles is over, right? So ninth organelle, centrosomes. Centrosomes present only in animals. Plastids present only in plants, centrosomes present only in animals. Okay, its main function is cell division, and it forms spindle fibers. It forms spindle fibers. So these are its main function. Clear, students? Okay. So now after learning about approximately 9 organelles, let us now try and compare them, or else we will summarize them. Not compare them, we will summarize them. Okay, and you are going to help me out and let me know how many of you get it correct as we proceed. Okay, so we will go for the summary table. Okay, summary table. So here is the name of the organelle and this is the function. Okay, now you are going to tell me one by one, right? So first one is Mitochondria. Tell me, what is the function of mitochondria? Mitochondria, the function is ATP production. ATP production. Okay. Second is ribosomes. What is its function? Any idea? Protein synthesis. Okay. As well as lipid synthesis. We are going to write any one. Okay. So, we will just stick with one. Protein synthesis, the major one. Okay. Golgi apparatus. Golgi apparatus, what is its function? Any one function? Packaging. Remember, post office of the cell, packaging. Okay. Lysosome, lysosomes. What is its function? We call it as suicidal bags, isn't it? So, digestion. Digestion is its function. Okay. Endoplasmic reticulum, ER, endoplasmic reticulum. What is its function? Transport and synthesis. Remember, transport and synthesis. Okay. Transport and synthesis. Vacuoles. What is the function of vacuoles? Vacuoles. What is the function of vacuoles? Major function is storage. Okay. Nucleus. Nucleus. What is the function of nucleus? Controls cell activity. Controls cell activities. Okay. Controls cell activities. And the last one, centrosomes. Centrosomes is useful in cell division. Cell division. Yeah, so that was the summary table, and hope you enjoyed the class. See you in the next class. In today's class, we had an overview of the major cell organelles. In our next class, we will learn in detail about mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to VA NEET Academy. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.